This is a Queen Bee Radio High School sports presentation.
Welcome to another edition of the Queen Bee Radio High School Sports Roundup. We are deep in the winter sports postseason, and we just wrapped up state wrestling, and we are joined by our Ace Wrestling broadcasters who were at the WIAA State Wrestling Tournament over the weekend in the Kohl Center, Chuck Rasmussen and Scott Tolzman. And gentlemen, what a treat of a tournament that you guys had over 3 days at the Kohl Center. We had over 50 wrestlers from our area competing for a state championship. And Raz, let's start off with the girls first, because this is the second year in a row that the girls have gotten to wrestle at the Kohl Center. And it was a strong showing for our local girls. Kind of give us a recap of how our girls performed at the state tournament.
Well, we had 6 of the young ladies from our area that placed. That's pretty good showing. And as you said, the ladies portion of the wrestling tournament, it's growing, and it's going to continue to grow for a while. I had a couple discussions over the weekend as far as with what's going to happen down the road, but I thought about a little bit more on the way home last night about what's coming up. But the numbers, I think what they say, there was 1,272 or something like that ladies wrestling this year in high school. And that number is going to have to get a little bit higher, a fair amount higher, before they change to up much, I think, on the state level. But area-wise, at 107 pounds, Emma Haiti from Richland Center was 4th, and Brooklyn Lowe from Fennimore was 5th. Deala Collins from Mineral Point was the runner-up at 120 pounds. Brittany Pesci from River Ridge had a heck of a tournament. She ended up 3rd. She defeated the top seed and the returning state champion, and I believe it was in her opening round, and then defeated the number 4 seed after that. But she had a heck of a nice tournament. And then at 165 pounds, this was pretty cool too. We had the both finalists were from our area. That's Rachel Schauer from Fennimore. She ended up being the champion, and the runner-up was Kaylee Davis from Belmont Platteville. And Scott, help me out here. I think I might have stated that wrong as far as with Petchy. That was Davis that
Yep, Davis is the upset. 2 times she defeated the 2-time state champion.
So there's really a nice showing from the ladies from our area, and I think they're going to continue to shine as they move on down the roads.
I agree. It's a nice fit in with the boys, and
very well.
Yep, and what's really unique about the girls is that there is no, Division I, Division II, Division III girls. It's all statewide. Girls that qualify from those sectional sites that end up going to state. So it is kind of a more true telling of who the best wrestlers are in the state, for the girls, because there's only one girls division in the tournament. And we talk about how deep and how strong our wrestling is in Southwest Wisconsin. The girls certainly proving their part in showing up at the Kohl Center this past weekend in Madison. Let's go to Division II boys, and Scott. I mean, Dodgeville, 4 state champions coming out of Division II. We saw Owen Sefrud get a state title for the Arlington Blackhawk. Talk about the other wrestlers and what you took away from the Division II side of things.
Coming in, we had 18 boys qualified from our local coverage in D2, and out of the 18, 15 of them placed. And out of those 15, we ended up with 5 state champions and a runner-up. I mean, if you count Ethan Haiti, even though he's kind of on the fringe a little bit from Richland Center, but that's a 5 out of 9 or 14 weight classes. That's pretty good. So we really had a great showing from our area. So I can run down the places here for D2 and how they all did. And let's see here if I get it back up where I had it. All right. At 106, Shane Washan from Dodgeville defeated Weston Ingham from Amory 4-2 to be a state champion. At 113, Hawken Peterson defeated Ethan Haiti for the state championship in a technical fall, 20-5. So, we had 1-2 there from the Swall.
Right.
Or SWC, so that was a great showing. Charlie Might at 120, he's a 3-time state champion now. He defeated Wyatt Mogileski from New London, 5-3. Reed Spurley, who came back from his knee injury and ended up becoming a 3-time state champion. He defeated Bob Huntley from Brillion, 7-4. And Ethan Aird ended up in 4th place. Ethan is from Darlington Blackhawk. At 132, Drake Ingham from Prairie du Chien will end up in 6th place. At 138, we did not have a local wrestler. At 144, Owen Sefroot defeated Kellen Kelly from St. Croix Falls 2-1, and he became a first-time state champion. Finally, for all the years that he's kind of got nudged out, it was good to see that happen for him. Drew Hurd was 3rd place from Prairie du Chien. At 150, no local wrestler. At 157, Braylon Goebel from Darlington Blackhawk finished 3rd. At 165, Maddox Goebel from Darlington Blackhawk finished 3rd, and Jeremy Avery from Prairie du Chien finished 5th. No local wrestler at 175. At 190, Ross Chris from Darlington Blackhawk finished 4th. At 215, Teague Perkins from Richland Center will finish 6th, and then Blake Theory of Prairie du Chien finishes 3rd. And at 285, we'll have Jack Simmons of Prairie du Chien, and he'll finish in 6th place. So a lot of place winners this time around for D2. And if you look at the mythical state, they still keep the team scores for the team tournament or for the individual tournament, even though nobody crowns a state champion that way, team wise. But Luxembourg Casco obviously walked away with it in that division, but Dodgeville was 2nd and Darlington was 3rd. So good showing by those 2 teams and a good overall showing from all the D2 schools that were there.
Yeah, it seemed overly competitive, and especially in that Division II bracket. And Raz, no shortage of competition in Division III either. Talk about what we saw from the Division III side of things for the boys.
Well, do you remember how many did we start with in Division III? Was it about 30? 20 something?
I think you had more. You had more than I did.
Yeah, and you had how many?
I had 18.
Okay, it might have been 20, somewhere right in there, 24, whatever it was. But we ended up with 19 medalists, which I think is just amazing. And we had a medalist in 13 out of the 14 weight classes, and 5 state champions. So Scott had 5 there in Division II, and we had 5 in Division III. I think that's pretty cool. And then again, 1 with the ladies. But Aiden Gruenfelder from Peck Argyle. He was the state champion at 106 pounds. Lucas Orloff from Peck Argyle was placed 3rd at 113. 120 was the lone weight class that Division III from our area did not have a medalist. Brody Meese from Riverdale was 2nd at 126. Rowan Carey 2nd at 132. And Hunter Stevens from Iowa Grant Highland was 3rd. And Rowan Carey from Mineral Point. At 138 pounds, Elliot Biba from Iowa Grand Highland was state runner-up. And again, he was defeated in the championship match by Dawson Johnson, a 4-time now state champion, Cumberland. So, and it was a good match too. So, but Johnson, you can see, and he is the class of the class there, that weight. 144 pounds. We had two place winners. It was Brock Hinderman from Iowa Grand Highland. He placed fourth, and state champion Ian Krapp from Fennimore. At 150 pounds, we also had two more medalists. It was Siler Zanchevich from Fennimore placing fourth, and Tyson Imhoff from Iowa Grand Highland placing third. Two more at 157. Jackson Bussey from Iowa Grand Highland places third, and the state champion Tristan Stout from Fennimore. At 165, this is 4 weights in a row, we had two medalists. The third place finisher, Emerson Moen from Iowa Grand Highland, and the state champion at 165 was Cade Wool from Mineral Point. At 175, Riley Wanick from Riverdale places sixth. At 190, Wyatt Anand from Fennimore is third, and also placing third at the 215-pound weight class is Bodie Bracco. And the 285-pound weight class, again, two more medalists, with Grant Matthews from Riverdale placing third, and Evan Grath from Fennimore, the state champion. That's back-to-back state championships for Evan Grath. Altogether, 2 medalists from Argyle, 2 from Mineral Point, 3 from Riverdale, 5 from Fennimore, and 7 from Iowa Grand Highland. And,
Wow.
As Scott called it, the mythical numbers there. Iowa Grant, let's stop. Mineral Point ended up 10th with 41. Riverdale was 7th with 44 points. And then the top 3, not a surprise, they were all from our super region, or our sectional. Aquinas was up third at 88.5. Fennimore was second at 100.5. And Iowa Grant was tops at 110. So a heck of a showing from our area. Quick question too. 19 medalists. How many of them graduate? Interesting question. I thought I might check that out, and I did. Believe it or not.
I didn't, but I'm gonna guess on D2. I think it's 5 that are leaving out of those medals. 2 from
Right.
Dodgeville
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, as I say, 2 from Dodgeville, and then I believe Owen Sefford's a senior. Is he as well?
No, I think Owen's only a junior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a junior. But I think Ross Chris is the senior,
Yeah.
or one of the Global boys is one or the other.
Yeah, I don't know about the Division II, how many of them graduated, but in Division III, there's only going to be 6 of them that will be graduating. So that's a lot of returners for next year.
Yeah, that's incredible, and what an amazing showing. And Raz, we've been obviously covering the state tournament for a number of years. To see this many medalists, and to see the amount of wrestlers locally that perform so well.
Mm-hmm.
Where does this tournament stack as far as success, as far as individual wrestling at the state tournament? I mean, this feels like it's probably one of the most loaded tournaments that we've ever seen.
I think success-wise from our area, probably one of the top years that we've ever had. There was a year, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, Scott, you might remember too, where the area had, from our conference, we had 12 in the finals, and I don't remember how many of them ended up being state champions. But this has got to be right up there.
Yep, I agree. I know were a few years when I was still coaching down in Belmont that we've had a lot of local people and plays well, but this tournament kept us busy.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, definitely. There was match action, pretty much nonstop. It kind of felt like you guys were alternating, calls, sometimes, multiple matches happening, simultaneously. And before we move on to the team state tournament that's coming up this weekend, I want to ask you guys, is there a favorite moment or a particular wrestler that kind of caught your attention throughout the duration of the weekend? What kind of stood out to you the most about this year's tournament?
If I'm going to say anything, it would be the way the young lady from Belmont Platteville, Davis, wrestled.
Mm-hmm.
That stuck out. I mean, I've seen her wrestle numerous times, and she just was phenomenal this weekend. The other thing I would say is looking at because they tweaked the seeding. This is the second year for the seeding. The number of 1-2 matches that actually did come about. So seeding was pretty close.
I would agree with both of those that Scott talked about too. And then I guess the other really amazing thing to me and was that back-to-back state champions for Dodgeville. I don't know that that's ever happened in any division.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
4 champions, let alone 4 finalists. Very, very impressive there. So.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say it's always cool, you know. Elliot Biba wrestled one heck of a match at 138, but when you got 3 guys that end up being 4-time state champions, that's pretty special.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yep. Now, if there's anything I like to get rid of as my own personal choice, the music can go.
That was, I don't know who makes the decisions with that. The music, the type of music, well, I can put up with, but it was so loud in there.
Yeah.
Just so loud. And we got there before they actually turned it down a little bit. Oh, I don't know if the person that was running it, if his hearing is going bad or what, but yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Scott, there. But other than that, it was awesome.
You're
Yes.
still ringing a bit from the weekend, guys?
What's that?
You're still ringing a bit from hearing all the music?
It's funny. I had baseball, spring training baseball on just a little bit ago, and then I actually turned it to a NASCAR race. And when wife and I was out to Phoenix here a couple of years ago, and we went to a NASCAR race, and I did not take my hearing protection, and we were sitting in turn 4, and it was so loud. I thought I had really damaged my hearing. But yeah, you put up with that much noise that long, it could do the same.
Yep.
Yep, I believe that. So that wraps up the individual state wrestling tournament, but there's still one more tournament coming up this coming weekend, and that is the team state wrestling tournament. 2 local teams set to compete. We will be following the Fennimore Golden Eagles in Division 3. They draw the 1 seed. They will take on Cumberland, and in the bottom half of the bracket, Coleman taking on Wauzeka-Fremont. And in Division 2, it will be Prairie du Chien, the 3 seed wrestling 2nd seeded St. Croix Falls. Winner of that duel takes on the winner of Luxembourg-Casco, my alma mater, and Kewaskum. Let's talk about the Fennimore Golden Eagles, Raz. Obviously the 1 seed, number 1 ranked team in the state, and coming out of that very loaded team sectional that had the likes of Iowa Grant Highland and Aquinas, they're able to advance to the state tournament yet again. With Fennimore coming out of that momentum, with the individual state tournament and the success they had during the team sectional, what do you make of Fennimore's chances of walking away with yet another team state title?
Well, again, if there to have to be money put on this, I could put on a fair amount of money that Fennimore is going to be another state, get another state championship. It surprised me a little bit that Cumberland ended up in the number 4 seed. They of the team scores we talked about from the state tournament, they were number 5. Fennimore was second with 100.5 points. Cumberland was number 5 with 54.5, and then the other half bracket, Coleman was 11th. They had 39.5 points. They're seeded 3rd. Wauzeka-Fremont had 27 points, and they're seeded 2nd. So, not sure how that all came about. Cumberland had 5 at state. They had a 1st, 3rd, and 5th place finisher. Coleman had 7 at state. They had a 2nd, 4th, and 5th place finisher. Wauzeka-Fremont, the 2nd seed, had 8 at state, but they only had 2 that medaled. So not sure how all that went down, but either way, I think Fennimore is going to walk away.
If again, we'll have Fennimore. I'll go ahead, Scott.
I agree. I mean, I think Fennimore is just too deep. If there's anything, there may be a little weak in maybe 2 weight classes, but overall wise, their strength is just too deep, and I just don't see anybody competing with them out of those other 3 teams.
No, I agree.
All right, we will have coverage of Fennimore at the Team State Wrestling Tournament coming up this weekend on our Queen Bee Radio family of stations. We'll sort out the coverage as our basketball postseason coverage wraps up throughout the duration of the week. And then again, in Division 2, Prairie du Chien, the number 3 seed, taking on St. Croix Falls, the 2 seed. Scott, where do you think Prairie du Chien finishes in the Team States tournament in Division 2?
Well, they're all going to have to wrestle good because St. Croix Falls has got a pretty good team this year. But Prairie du Chien is still deep in their weight classes. Even some of the kids that weren't at state are pretty decent wrestlers. I think they can sneak by St. Croix, but I don't think they can compete with Luxembourg Casco. So I would say Prairie will maybe finish runner-up.
And that will wrap up our high school wrestling coverage for this week. Again, we will follow the Fennimore Golden Eagles coming up this Saturday on our Queen Bee Radio family of stations. You can check out the Queen Bee Radio schedule on AM1590WPVL.com for start time and station for Saturday's Team State Tournament. Gentlemen, awesome job with the individual state tournament coverage this past weekend. Rest those vocal cords. Enjoy the couple days off before we get to the Team State Tournament. And we will have basketball coverage coming up next on the Queen Bee Radio High School Sports Roundup on YouTube and SoundCloud.
Looking for a checking account with no monthly requirements or service charge? People's State Bank's People's Checking Account is just what you're looking for. This account includes free debit card, online and mobile banking, bill pay, and much more at no cost to you. You heard that right. No cost to you. We're your local community bank ready to serve you. People's State Bank. Member FDIC.
Back on the Queen Bee Radio High School Sports Roundup. Let's talk postseason girls basketball now. And we're joined by Platteville Galena truther Steve Prestegard. And Steve, let's start off with Galena because they are in action on Monday night. They take on Illini Bluffs for the opportunity to go to state in the super sectional matchup in Class 1A. Mark Evenstad will have the call of that game on Extreme 1071 and X1071.com. But Steve, Galena on the doorstep of going back to state in Class 1A. They've certainly looked the part through the duration of the season. And what's interesting about this matchup is that if you put any stock in the rankings, Illini Bluffs is ranked number 3, Galena ranked number 1, and just kind of how the rankings match up in the other parts of the bracket, this might be the de facto state championship. What do you make of the matchup for Galena and their chances of getting back to state?
Well, it certainly will be hyped as such, I'm certain, by Monday night. But you have to keep in mind that the number 2 team was Orangeville, and Orangeville got punted in the regional final. Galena last week beat the number 13 team, Freeport-Aquin, without too much trouble, and the number 5 seed, Rockford Lutheran, without a huge amount of trouble. That was a ball game where, we talk about the patented runs of Galena, and theirs was right at the start, actually. They started off with a 9-0 lead, and Galena, it was down to, I believe, 7 at one point in the first half, but then got back to double digits. And in the fourth quarter, it was never closer than 11 points. So, Galena's defense continues to be the thing that propels that team because they're just able to totally shut teams down, and they're able to use their defense to create their offense, which kind of makes up in a sense for the fact that they're not a really good, not a really high percentage shooting team. According to the Dubuque Telegraph Herald, in fact, in their win on Thursday, they didn't even shoot 30%, but they got a lot of rebounds and they got a lot of turnovers. As a matter of fact, in the first half of that game, again, according to the TH, Rockford Lutheran had 11 points and 16 turnovers. And that obviously is not a compatible formula for winning pretty much any place. So Galena, again, the thing is their defense, because the defense is really what that team is about. And, if they play defense well, then I think they've got a better than even shot at going back to state for the third time Monday night.
Yeah, it should be an interesting matchup. Again, we will have that game between Galena and the Illini Bluffs on Extreme 1071 and X1071.com on Monday night. And that's the Galena Pirates, the only remaining team left on the Illinois side of things. But the playoffs are very much underway in the state of Wisconsin. We are through the regional round in what was a very busy and frantic regional round at that. Let's look at Division 3 with Platteville getting the win in the regional semifinal against Beloit Turner, 44-43 in the game that you got to call, Steve. And then Platteville ultimately falling to the number 1 seed Edgerton, 56-40. But let's go back to that Platteville Turner game, because it sounded like there was a very fun finish. Walk us through what happened in that matchup in the Hillman win.
Well, basically, the whole second half, in fact, the whole ball game, I believe Turner never had more than a 5-point lead. I think Platteville never had more than a 4-point lead. Seemed as though whenever somebody got out to a 2-possession lead, there'd be a big play after that, 3-point basket or a 3-point play, and suddenly it's back to 2 or whatever. It was very back and forth in the fourth quarter until, with I think it was 1:20 left, that Avery Richard, the Platteville point guard, drove and scored and gave them the lead for good, and then hit a free throw. There was another free throw for Beloit Turner that cut the lead to 1. They had 2 free throws to try to take the lead, missed both. Platteville had 2 to make it a 3-point game, missed both. And it was a missed 3-point shot at the buzzer that ended up being the difference. It was a terrific ball game, very defense-oriented game, obviously. Neither team shot particularly well. And because of how the teams played defense, there were more turnovers, I'm sure, than either coach would like. But Platteville got to go on because they got the last points. So that was an exciting. It was worth the trip through the snow to find Beloit Turner, which is not the easiest thing to get for Platteville to get the win.
Yeah, but of course, Platteville getting the win against Turner, but then fell to the number 1 seed Edgerton on Saturday night, 56-40. So the Hillmen were eliminated. And then in the bottom half of that bracket, Prairie du Chien did get the win over Dodgeville in the regional semifinal, 70-46, before falling to Madison Edgewood, 58-39. So all of the SWC teams in that part of the bracket were eliminated as well. So no teams remaining in Division 3 locally through the regional round. Let's turn our attention to Division 4, where the bracket pretty much held serve as far as the seedings go. We see that Mineral Point defeated Darlington in the regional semifinal, 50-41, before Cuba City ended up winning the regional championship over Mineral Point, 73-51. Cuba City having to win in come from behind fashion in basically back-to-back nights. Cuba City also had to hold off a feisty Fennimore team, 62-58. in the regional semifinal. I mean, I felt that Cuba City was probably going to be the team that ends up winning the regional championship, but I knew that Mineral Point was going to be a tough out. Fennimore may be a bit of a surprise as far as that goes, because I called their game or their matchup against each other in Fennimore, and Cuba City had a running clock on the Golden Eagles in that game. So Fennimore obviously much improved since the beginning of the season, and certainly seemed to reflect that on the floor. But the Cubans going back to the sectional round, they take on New Glarus. That is going to be at Lancaster High School, and we will have that game on Thursday night on Super Hits 106. Let's talk about the Cubans advancing and winning their regional championship. I thought the games were, maybe more competitive than what we initially thought. And I don't know if that's just because the competition has gotten better that the Cubans had faced, in facing common opponents, multiple times through this postseason run. But the Cubans certainly had to earn their regional championship on Saturday night.
Well, I think that's not a huge surprise when you have teams playing each other for the third time, and it's not like the top team in the conference is playing the bottom team of the conference. Mineral Point had a very good year. Fennimore had a pretty good year, and it's just one of those things. I suspect that Fennimore came out probably. This is also, I would have to say, as far as the Fennimore game goes, that there is occasionally a disadvantage at the start of the game for a team that has a first round bye, because they haven't played in a week. Fennimore played on Tuesday, so they are, they're rolling and all of that, and so that could possibly be an explanation, I suppose, for Friday. And then Saturday, there wasn't that much difference between Cuba City and Mineral Point, obviously. So
Right.
the fact that would be a taut ball game is certainly not a surprise either.
Up in Cuba City, the lone team in Division 4 still remaining. Again, they take on New Glarus in the sectional semifinal. And looking at the top half of the bracket, it'll be Neilsville and Westfield. They play at Hasio Fairchild. So the sectional championship would be at Wisconsin Dells on Saturday night, should they advance, meaning the Cuba City Cubans advance past New Glarus on Thursday night.
I would not be surprised by. Sorry about that. I would be not surprised, by the way, if that game gets moved to the afternoon, because the Cuba City boys will be playing on Friday. If they win that game, and they're favored, I would say, they will be playing Saturday night. And because of that, I'm virtually certain that Saturday game could end up being moved to the afternoon.
I will say that we are rooting for that to happen as well, because that makes things a little bit easier for us as far as being able to cover all the games that we want to coming up this week. So, yep, Cuba City in action.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yep, Cuba City in action again Thursday night against New Glarus, and we will have that game on Super Hits 106 and the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel from Lancaster High School. Division 5, again, the seedings holding serve, but some very entertaining basketball games along the way. Let's look at the top half of the bracket, where Argyle Pecatonica defeated Highland 58-41. And Steve, this is the first time that really any of us got to see Argyle Pecatonica in person. I know Rob Spengler got to see them against Lancaster a couple weeks ago, but seeing them play live, they remind me a lot of the way that Galena plays defense. And this is very much old school, I want to say almost Blackhawk-esque basketball, because of the familiar names that are associated with that team. Jen Kroger, formerly Jen Wellnitz, is the head coach of Argyle Peck, and obviously played for Blackhawk, had a lot of success, played at UW Green Bay. Kylie Butler, playing for Argyle Peck, the younger sister of Bailey Butler, who obviously played at Blackhawk as well. And Brooke Wellnitz, the younger sister of Jen, a freshman on the team, a major player on that. And Jen Kroger, having coached many of these girls in AAU ball and, kind of grew up in that system. This is a very, very methodical basketball team. And it just felt like, especially in the game against Highland, anytime Highland was trying to pass the ball or move the ball, there was a defender getting their hands on it. It was just a nightmare defensively. The only catch to Argyle Peck was that there was at one point in the game, the score was 20-19. Argyle Peck had the lead, but Highland had turned the ball over 15 times. So it's
one of those 1 point lead.
Yeah. So you can force the turnovers, but they weren't necessarily able to capitalize. So I think that there might be, a bit of a weakness as the competition gets tougher down the line. But boy, is that defense a problem for anyone. And, you've seen Galena play, multiple games and how great that defense is. You play defense like that can carry you, multiple rounds in the postseason. And if, that's that foundation, Argyle Peck certainly showing why they are the number one ranked team in the state in Division 5 with a defense like that. So I'm very curious to see how they match up against the other regional champion, Wauzeka-Steuben, defeating Belmont 52-46 in a game that was very tight from start to finish. Wauzeka-Steuben pretty much led the entire way, but they were able to hold off any runs by Belmont, who got to that game by defeating River Ridge 59-25 in a game that River Ridge just could not make a shot to save their lives. River Ridge only scoring 11 points in the first half, scoring 14 points in the second half. And, River Ridge was one of those teams that lives and dies by the three-pointer, and those shots just were not going down, and Belmont was able to flex their muscle. But when you take a look at the bracket in Division 5, Steve, like I said, the seeds really held serve, so I don't think that there's really any surprise, but I do think that Argyle-Peck matchup against Wauzeka-Steuben, and then looking at the top half of the bracket, seeing Royal and Cochrane-Fountain City being the potential opponents for either Argyle-Peck or Wauzeka-Steuben in Portage for the sectional championship. Division 5 is going to be a very, very fun tournament to keep an eye on in the sectional round.
Definitely. And for the reasons stated, two conference champions, Wauzeka-Steuben and Argyle-Peck, a brand new program, obviously. And then, Albany-Monticello, which finished second in the Six Rivers East, and they're the number one seed and still rolling on.
And that will wrap up our girls postseason coverage for this week. Again, a reminder, on Monday night, Galena taking on Illini Bluffs with the opportunity for the Galena Pirates to go to state. We'll have that game on Extreme 1071 and x1071.com on Monday night. And in Division 4, Cuba City taking on New Glarus on Thursday night on Super Hits 106 and the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Cuba City advances. We will follow them to Wisconsin Dells in the sectional final game. And in Division 5, Argyle Pecatonica taking on Wauzeka-Steuben from Richland Center. We'll have that game on 97.7 Country WGLR and the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. And we will follow the winner of that game to Portage for the sectional final with an opportunity to go to state. Steve, thanks for helping me out with the girls postseason coverage, and we'll talk about the boys side of things as the postseason on the Wisconsin side gets underway this week. We'll tell you about the games that we know that we will be covering this week and what we anticipate might be happening down the line. The Queen Bee Radio Sports High School Sports Roundup continues after this on YouTube and SoundCloud.
Check out Subs.com. Subs is Southwest Wisconsin's go-to supplement store. Find all your favorite supplement brands at the best prices from local people. Fuel your fitness journey. Subs.com, your go-to supplement store with locations in Fennimore and Dubuque.
This week's highlight reel is presented by Subs.com.
Out to the mid-post, tossed back up, tipped in the hands of Allie Wall. Now a three-ball right wing, and late night banking in Wauzeka. For Elizabeth Wright, her 23rd on the season. The first Hornet field goal comes 6 minutes in. As Mitchell beats down low. Traffic there, now back out left side. Ball defense, now back behind the arc left side. They'll beat down low, shot up off the glass and good. Isabella Bunders. Good ball movement by Wauzeka-Steuben, and we are tied up at 8. Low post left. In the paint, spinning shot, no good. Rebound, Hornets. Wall, way underneath. Tosses back up top. Now right wing, three-pointer coming up. And can from the right wing. Macy Mitchell's 31st of the year. She's got 5 points, and Wauzeka-Steuben leads 11-8 with under 7 minutes to go first half. Right bounce pass back beyond the arc left side. Down to the right wing, down to the right corner for Wauzeka-Steuben. Three ball coming up, and that's good. Cameron Hurtis, 51st of the year. Entry pass, right of the lane line, spinning, shooting, missing is Lang, and the rebound to Wauzeka-Steuben after the Warriors one and done. Three ball left wing coming up. That rattles in. Allie Wall with number 20 on the year. Steve, 3:41 to play first half. Wall left wing, now top of the key. Three ball coming up. And a bank shot for three. Kendra Haldeman's 31st of the year. Hey, so I appreciate your patience, but they're coming. Three ball right wing Warriors. That one rattles in. Maddie Place, her second of the ball game. Ball left side. Here are the Hornets to the right wing. Eden, right junction. Wall, back left wing. Three-pointer coming up and can. Ball right wing, Maddie Lang for Blackhawk. Wearing the green shoes. Here's right side. Wellnitz for three. Hello. Haley Wellnitz, 18th three-pointer of the year. Ball right wing. Now to the low post, Lang. Power dribbles in and she will get the hoop and the harm. Back ball, mid-post right, runner up, block, rebound, put back, good. Kendra Holdeman makes it a 2-point contest, 42-40 with 3:55 to play. Hornets, top of the key, Wall, skip pass, right corner, triple threat, now right wing, 3-ball coming up. That is flashed! Elizabeth Wright, third three-pointer of the game, 30-second timeout for Ben McCulloch. That three-pointer makes it 45-40 with 3:45 to go. And they'll hold it as the clock ticks down. It's a 10-point win for Wauzeka-Steuben, 54-44 Hornets.
Bringing it across the court is Olivia Olsen. Shot put up and good by Olsen. Nelson drives the lane, puts it up right-handed, and rolls around and good. No good. Rebound taken out of there by Olsen. Kicks the ball out for a three. Hit it! Number 5, Emily Wegman gets her second basket. She has 5 in the game. It's 18-8 with 9:45 to go in the first half. Nelson kicks it out. Shot by Briley Zink, blocked out of bounds by Olsen. Ashley Rowe. 3-point shot, hit it by number 4. That's Allie Ingersoll. 29-13, Cuba City. Shot up, no good, off the glass. And we get a basket by Nelson. And a foul. Fennimore with the ball. 3-point shot up and made by number 3, Bracy Nelson. To Zink. Open 3-point shot. Good by Isabel Bender. Nelson bringing the ball across. Runs into a double team. 3-point by Ritchie, no good. Ball is run down by Kenny. Given to French. French put a shot up expecting a foul to be called. Nothing called. And that's the ball game. 62-58, our final score.
Shannon Graff sprints across the center court stripe, trying to kick back, and finds Melissa Slutton. Slutton angles towards the right side, kicks out to Zinkel, and Zinkel knocks down the 3. Shannon Graff between the rings, hands off to Reagan Zinkel on the near side. Zinkel spinning off her defender, going for the layup, and able to bank it in. Now over to the right wing. Cross-court pass back to the left wing, 3-pointer on the way, and splashing it is Casey Rickers. And he really pushes it to Reagan Zinkel along the near sideline. Now back to Worley, catch and shoot 3 on the right wing, knockdown. Inbound pass is stolen away by Rickers. Shot put up, bucket counts, and the foul for Casey Rickers. Mister in the triple dut, now back to the top. Over to the right wing. Rundy thinks about a 3, but gonna get back to the top instead. Catch and shoot 3 is knocked down for Casey Rickers. Now here's Rundy, catch and shoot 3 off the left wing, knocks it down. Ball push ahead to Reese Rundy in the right corner. Lobs it down low to Laney. Rickers kicks out open 3 left corner. Got it. Casey Rickers with another 3-pointer. Belmont's just going to call it off. And our final score from Belmont High School, the Belmont Braves defeat the River Ridge Timberwolves 59-25.
Here's Kroll with it, left wing, drive to the baseline, corner right, here's a 3. That's the way you do it, Bell Waters. Iron rebound, a big chase after it, Mineral Point comes up with the ball. Corner right, Lindsay, 3 on the way. That's the way you do it. 14.5 to go, first half. 6-0. Mineral Point crossover dribble to the free throw line and back out now, 3 on the way. Good by Kroll. The 10th 3 of the season for her, and it's 9-0 Mineral Point. Jason Derby calls a timeout. Lindsay rebound. Rowe up the floor. The Rundy lays it up and in. They got the break going, and Rundy finishes. 9-8, Point leads it. Now diagonal pass, left end, driving in, and basket made and a foul called. Morgan Lee with the basket. and she got fouled. Oh, and point comes back the other way with a 3-ball good by Lindsay. Floor feeds left side, nearly a travel by Rogers. Kick out left side, 3 on the way, good. There's a Rundy, long 3 on the way by Olsen, good. 3rd foul on Cabot. Team fouls are even at 3 apiece. Here is Rowe with a 3, right side, that's the way you do it.
Back to Mester, top of the key. They rotate it now right side to Freeman, cross-court pass. Rickers, open 3, left wing, got it! Casey Rickers from downtown knocks down the 3. First basket of the game goes to Belmont, 3-0, center half court. Rotates over to the right wing, 3-pointer is good by Allywall. Rickers in transition for Belmont, off the glass, scores! Casey Rickers has 5 points and a timeout will be taken on the floor. Hodgson drives the lane, dishes to Mester, back out to Rickers, open 3, left wing, got it! Second 3 by Casey Rickers. Quickly up the floor. It's number 12, that is Morgan Berger, kicks it out, 3 by Wright is good. That's Elizabeth Wright, that's her first bucket. And all of a sudden, we're tied at 16 with 6 minutes to play in the first half. That was crossover dribble. 3-pointer, left wing, good. It's Berger. Morgan Berger is heating up. 5 points for her in the second half. Pass to a cutter in the corner to Fritz for 3, and she hits it. Courtney Fritz from downtown. That's a big one. Belmont needed a bucket like that. 31-30. And here comes a backdoor pass to Emma Walsh. She's blocked, but Berger gets the rebound in the paint. Now kicks it out, and the 3 is good. It's Elizabeth Wright. Her second 3. 6 points for her. It's 39-35. Wauzeka by 4. Back the other way. Berger gets it down low. Kicks it out to Herta for 3, and she hits it. Back-to-back big 3s for Wauzeka. And they now have a 42-35 lead. Rundy, entry pass, Freeman, nice feed, scores. Natalie Wright driving in, kicks it out to Allie Wall for 3 and hits it. Another big 3 by Wauzeka and a timeout taken, 45-40. So again, time is of the essence. They got to get it inbound, get a 3 right away. They hit it into McNett. Oh, there's too much time. Gets it out to Rickers. Got to shoot a 3. Somebody's got to shoot it. Well, that's it. Time expires, and that's your ball game. No good on the 3 anyway. The final score, though, is going to be 52-46.
Pass down low, shot put up and baked in by Bronwyn Halverson. Shot for Tisch. Can't get the lucky bounce. Wellman's there for the rebound. Can't get the second chance to go. Scramble for the rebound. Collected by Tisch. Gives out to Butler for 3. She got it! Fredericks trying to navigate a double team at center court. Left-handed dribble, stops the dribble at the free throw line. Kicks out. Miller for 3 in the left corner. Got it! Butler now handling the basketball for Argyle Peck. Kicks over to the right wing to Tisch. Tisch now going to load up for 3. Got it! Avery Steiner is out to the top. Straight ahead 3 for Wellness. Rattles in. Miller. Carly Fredericks trying to get past Loretta Tisch. Hands off to Miller. Catch and shoot 3 in the left corner. Got it! Second 3-pointer for Caitlin Miller. Back to a 1-point ball game, 20-19, with 2:45 to play until the Peterson Agency halftime report. Steiner goes back to Loretta Tisch on the right side. Back out to the top to Steiner. Down to Butler. Catch and shoot 3. Left wing off the front of the rim. No good. Offensive rebound and a 3-pointer back the other way is good for Avery Steiner. 31-19. Argyle Peck with the lead. Gives to Wellness, now straight ahead 3 for Tisch, tries to fake it in and a toilet bowl's down. Miller pushes ahead to Fredericks, 1-on-1, back the other way, and the bucket is good, and the foul. As a shot was put up off the inbound, it's no good, and the ball recovered by Argyle Peck, sprinting towards the basket, shot is good, and the foul for Anna Tisch. Rachel and Ray's Pub and Grill. Stop by and enjoy a cold beverage and great food. Rachel and Ray's Pub and Grill on the ATV Trail in Blanchardville. Kasim loads up. Misses the side of the rim. Rebound collected by Highland. And I don't think the Cardinals will get one more shot. No, they won't. And that will be our final. The first-year co-op, Argyle Pecatonica, advances to the sectional round. They are regional champions as they defeat the Highland Cardinals 58-41.
Grow your business by enhancing your digital marketing efforts with Queen Bee Radio and Phase 3 Digital. We provide customized solutions based on your business's unique needs, including targeted advertising, website development, and search engine optimization. Contact us at 608-349-2000 or visit p3da.com/Platteville to learn more.
It's now time to talk boys basketball on the Queen Bee Radio High School Sports Roundup, and I'm rejoined by the Platteville Galena truther, Steve Prestegard. And Steve, let's talk about the Illinois side. We're in the IHSA Class 1A. All of our local teams in Illinois had been eliminated, but there were two very good basketball games that you got to call last Wednesday night.
I had Lena Winslow beating Scales Mound 52-51. That means that Scales Mound does not make a three-peat to state. Then after that, South Beloit beat East Dubuque on a late shot, 32-31. So they were both great ball games. In the case of Scales Mound, they basically got harassed into very poor shooting. And I think they ran into a team that was a lot more physical. They may not have been used to that. Lena Winslow, of course, they finished second in the state in football this year. And that's kind of how they played. They were just an extraordinarily physical team. And, Scales Mound might have had some issues with that, some problems dealing with that. And, basically they didn't shoot well at all in the ball game. It was a very taut ball game between South Beloit and East Dubuque. Scott Shaver, the East Dubuque coach, said he had plan A and plan B for Ross Robertson, who is the 6'8" all-state player for South Beloit. And they pretty much worked because he had 14 at the half, but only ended up with, I think, 16 or 18 points. But South Beloit won on a late layup. They had the ball at the end, and the shot at the buzzer just didn't go. So it was still a tremendous season. Well, really for both teams, Scales Mound, they were, state ranked. They played the whole year with a bullseye on their back because of back-to-back trips to state, and, had a good number of wins, all that. East Dubuque was one of the great stories in the area because they were not, I think, picked by very many teams, but they won the right team or won the right ball games and ended up winning the NUI West, which I don't think anybody saw coming either. So, it was a pair of great ball games at East Dubuque on Wednesday in the semifinals.
Yeah, been a really good season all around in the NUI West. It didn't really turn out the way that I think a lot of people might have anticipated, but it was great basketball and, some really wonky things where, like you said, East Dubuque had a better conference record, but, other teams in the conference had better overall records. And, just with the number of basketball games that those teams played, that led to some very competitive games down the line, like the games that you saw on Wednesday night. What a season it was in the NUI West and our local teams. But now at this point in the season, all of the local teams from the Illinois side have been eliminated, and now we turn our.
Galena got beat Friday by Pecatonica. That was a close game for a quarter, but Pecatonica was ranked number one in the regional. And because they won the regional bid, they were playing at home. So kind of like a Wisconsin situation where you got to go to the number one seed. And Galena stated it with a quarter, for a quarter, but Pecatonica proved to be too much, basically. So, Galena had a good season, too. They were a challenger for the NUI West title right up until the last game of the season. And the sort of sad thing is that with these losses, a couple of great players from the area, Cooper Glasgow for Galena, and Thomas Farrell, all-state player for Scales Mountain. Their careers are over, but that is how it works with seniors, obviously.
Right.
And it'll be different next year, certainly, but it'll be fun to watch next year too. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yep, absolutely. Hopefully it's as entertaining next year as it was this year, because it was a very fun conference to keep tabs on as the season went along. Let's go to the Wisconsin side where the postseason begins on Tuesday night. We have 3 games on our Queen Bee Radio family of stations to open up the regional quarterfinal round. In Division 4, we will have Fennimore at Lancaster on Extreme 107.1 and the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. We will also have Parkview at Cuba City on Super Hits 106 in the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. The winners of those games will play each other coming up on Friday nights. I will be covering the Fennimore at Lancaster game. I did see the regular season matchup between these two non-conference opponents, and it was a handily handled game by Lancaster. I don't know if that's the best way to describe anything. It's been late, running low on sleep. It's been a very chaotic week here. Words are hard.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. But Lancaster won the regular season matchup, 74-37 in Fennimore. Looking at the stats from that game, the story is the field goal shooting, where Lancaster shot 50% from the field, 26 of 52. Fennimore did not. They shot 15 of 51. So, Fennimore, they are, 4-20. They are the 12 seed. And, I don't want to paint that there might be a scenario where, Fennimore and Parkview could potentially win. And then, Fennimore out of nowhere gets a potential home game. But I do anticipate that Lancaster is going to take care of business, and it would likely set up a Lancaster-Cuba City matchup in the regional semis. And we mentioned this last week when the brackets came out, Steve, where Cuba City, all of a sudden, being a 3 seed in this bracket, where obviously it's Mineral Point and Darlington at the at the top of the regional, but Cuba City has a viable path to potentially get to a regional final. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. Cuba City and Mineral Point potentially meeting again for a regional championship.
Right. And the thing that's interesting too is that, obviously Cuba City's played Fennimore twice because they're in the same conference, but Cuba City also played Lancaster once already this year and reasonably dominated them. But I don't think that there is such a difference between Lancaster and Cuba City that you're guaranteed that that is going to happen again. For one thing, Cuba City is coming off somewhat of a shocking loss at the end of the season, and Lancaster's a 500 team, but they're a better team than they were last year by a lot, actually. So, the higher seeds are obviously favored for reasons, but the computer doesn't always get it right, and I think we've probably attested to that. And those are going to be quite. That's a whole interesting bracket right there, at least coming up into the to the regional final, possibly.
Yep, and I'm looking up the scores as well, and Lancaster did play Cuba City earlier in this season, and Cuba City came away with a 60-42 win back on January 29th. So, take that for what it is. I don't know truly what to make of this bracket, but everything kind of holds serve. The path for Cuba City seems pretty viable to run into Mineral Point for a regional championship, which again, we anticipate it would be Mineral Point and Darlington playing for the sectional semifinal in Lancaster, which is going to be one heck of a basketball game, assuming that we get to that point. But that's why we play the games, and that's why we are going to cover them as the week goes along. The other game that we have on Queen Bee Radio coming up on Tuesday night is in Division 5, Wauzeka-Steuben at Highland. You'll have the call of that one, Steve, on 97.7 Country WGLR. The winner of that game will go to Cashton, we believe, assuming that they're going to take care of the 15-seeded Brookwood. I anticipate that they will do so. And, like we mentioned last week, I was a bit surprised that Cashton didn't get the number 1 seed, but I'm sure Potosi is very happy that they got the 1 seed, because that path through the regional round seems significantly easier, as they are on the opposite side of the bracket of River Ridge and Cashton. River Ridge and Cashton would be on a collision course for a regional final. But to get to that point, the winner of Wauzeka-Steuben going to Highland, a 7-10 matchup. What do you make of the matchup on Tuesday night that you'll be covering on WGLR?
Well, it's a pair of mid-pack teams. I think Highland was a pleasant surprise. Actually, they were not necessarily picked to do very much, new coach and all that, and they've been, halfway decent. Wauzeka-Steuben, what is interesting about that is that Wauzeka-Steuben, I think right now is the most established program in the Ridge and Valley Conference, because they've had the most success over the last few years. But it turns out North Crawford and Ithaca have had great seasons, and DeSoto's been pretty good also. So that is kind of a head scratcher, frankly, as to who's going to win that game. That is the 10-7 and the 8-9 games, obviously, are the games where you see the most upsets, to the point where it's not necessarily a huge upset. If number 10 beats number 7, there's usually a lot of or very little space between the two teams. But we'll see as the phrase goes.
Yep, exactly. And real quick, let's go back to Division 3. We don't have any games that we will be covering on Queen Bee Radio, but the number 1 seed Platteville gets a bye in the quarterfinal round. They will play on Friday night. They await the winner of Dodgeville and Mauston. Also playing in the quarterfinal round, number 5 seeded Prairie du Chien hosting number 12 Evansville. So, we'll kind of see what happens in the quarterfinal round as Platteville awaits the winner of Dodgeville and Mauston. We will have that game on Friday night on ESPN Radio, AM 1590 WPVL. Now that we've, had the brackets out for a week, Steve, I kind of go back to what we mentioned during the segment last week. I like Platteville's path. I think that they have a very favorable set of matchups, regardless of how that bracket shakes out. They're poised for a deep postseason run. I think the bigger question is, the thing that we were mentioning earlier with the Cuba City girls is, does not playing Tuesday night help or hurt you? Is it a rest versus rust, type of situation with Platteville? Any concerns that you might see with Platteville not playing for about a week or so and facing a team that would be coming off a win on Tuesday night?
That kind of depends, because, Dodgeville, they've been inconsistent this year, but I think they have the capability to do things. At this point in things, I don't know anything about Mauston yet. I hate to, go back to old and kind of unpleasant memory, but I believe it was back either 2018 or 2019 where a similar situation took place, where Platteville got the number 2 seed. They had won the conference, got a first round bye, played Marshall, as it turned out, in the regional final, got beat at home, because basically nothing went in the net for went into the hoop for Platteville. I'm sure that the coaches for Platteville remember that, and they might end up like scrimmaging or something at the start of the week, simply to make sure that everybody's in good shape. The thing that I think kind of benefits Platteville in the sense is they've had some difficult non-conference competition and beat them in the last couple of weeks. A couple of Saturdays ago, they beat New Glarus, which is very good. They were ranked actually at one point. And then most recently, they beat Wisconsin Dells, which is ranked and is also a potential opponent in the postseason. So, they've managed to make up, I think, for what has not been a good year for the conference top to bottom, with scheduling some non-conference opponents that would be a challenge. And, they were able to beat them. They're again, they have not lost since they played Monona Grove in Milwaukee way back in early January. So they've 21 wins. They've been able to surmount everybody that they have faced since that game, which was against a Division II team. The issue, I think, about having that much off time, I think they remember what happened the last time that happened, and they probably have a practice schedule set up to try to avoid that from happening a second time.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how it plays out for Platteville. Definitely a team to keep an eye on, as you're the token Platteville truther, and I'm very much I fall into that Platteville truther category as well. Seeing how they played against Cuba City, and just talking with Coach Hoosier post game after that win against the Cubans, that Platteville's found another gear, and they certainly have looked pretty darn impressive, especially on the defensive side. And I think that that's something that they can certainly lean on as the postseason begins. As we
there's plenty of room on the bandwagon, Tyler.
Yep. I'm sure Coach Hoosier will definitely make some room to have all of us at Queen Bee Radio be on that bandwagon. Definitely one that we will jump on for sure. So looking again on Tuesday night, regional quarterfinal action, Division 4, Fennimore at Lancaster on Extreme 107.1 and the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Parkview at Cuba City on Super Hits 106 and the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. The winners of those games play each other on Friday night, which we will have on one of our Queen Bee Radio family of stations. Also, again, on Tuesday night, Division 5, Wauzeka-Steuben at Highland. Winner of that game most likely goes to Cashion, and we intend on following that winner as well on 97.7 Country WGLR and the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. As the postseason progresses and as things might potentially change depending on the outcomes, we'll have the updated schedule on AM 1590 WPVL.com. Just real quickly, we did have some regular season games to close out the season last week. We know that Platteville won the SWC outright. They finished with a perfect 10-0 conference record. They are 21-3 overall. In the SWAL, Mineral Point and Darlington finishing with identical 13-1 conference records and 22-2 overall records, with Mineral Point falling to Monona Grove in the early part of the week last week. Potosi, the Six Rivers West champions, with an 11-1 conference record, 20-4 overall, and that number one seed in Division 5. Six Rivers East, Barneveld is the team that pulls away and gets the Six Rivers East title. They hold off Argyle and Pecatonica. Barneveld finishing with an 11-1 conference record and an 18-6 overall record. And then the Ridge and Valley, North Crawford and Ithaca, they were gridlocked with 12-2 conference records and 20-4 overall records. So that's how the conferences finished up. And, I don't think that there was anything really that surprising as far as, stuff that we may have looked at, from the beginning of the season. I think that everything kind of held the way that we anticipated, but some pleasant surprises. We talked about, teams like Shalsburg and Highland that, kind of made some noise in the Six Rivers West. Southwestern had a nice season playing in the SWAL, finishing in that third place spot. We were curious about how Cuba City was going to be under new head coach Tanner Sheevy. They've been up and down. They've been a streaky type team, but we'll see how Cuba City's postseason begins, coming off that loss to Basketball on Thursday night. And that was the first loss to Basketball since at least 1999. I was trying to dig up the article that our basketball truther Jimmy Kuska pulled up, but there was no date on it. So I'm not sure how far back that goes, but that was a big milestone for Basketball, defeating Cuba City for the first time since forever. It seems like so. So with that, when you kind of take a look at the overall view of the regular season, Steve, what kind of stood out to you the most on the boys basketball side of things?
Well, obviously, Mineral Point and Darlington are two of the best teams anywhere. I think that's not really a surprising thing. Potosi, pretty much with 1 week's exception, dominated the Six Rivers West. River Ridge was right behind them, and obviously the switch over to a new coach, they were able to have quite a good season regardless. Platteville, they just absolutely dominated the SWC. They won it by 4 games over Prairie du Chien and River Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That was literally never a race, basically. The other two, you have, I'm not sure who thought North Crawford and Ithaca would be as good as they are, and there they are tied for first. Barneveld, the nice thing about the Six Rivers East is that they are certainly a better conference than they were a few years back, or a couple of years back, when only the conference champion had a winning record, and the only team that won postseason games were 2 teams that played each other from the Six Rivers East. So the conference got a lot better this year. But other than that, I think Platteville just absolutely dominated, and Darlington and Mineral Point were every bit as good as advertised, and Potosi certainly had a great year as well, getting the number 1 seed. You think about it, we have Platteville as the number 1 seed, we have Mineral Point as the number 1 seed. Darlington could be, certainly, they're number 2.
Right.
And then we have Potosi as the number 1 seed. Truth be told, there could be multiple teams from this area going to state, and I'm sure we'd figure out a way to get to Madison for those, whether or not the parking situation is very good.
One way or another, we'll find a way to get a couple broadcasters out there for potential multiple boys teams competing at the state tournament. And truth be told, same can be said for the girls side.
Yeah, and if anybody knows where a helicopter can be found, contact Queen Bee Radio.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure that there's room in the budget for us to pull that off. So, yeah. So let's do the final boys basketball high five of the season. I don't think that there were any real changes from last week, but with Mineral Point losing to Monona Grove, I believe you mentioned, Steve, that Mineral Point and Darlington are now just 1A, 1B. Platteville would be in the number 3 spots. Potosi would be 4, and the tie for 5th would be North Crawford and Ithaca. Same 5 teams essentially, although there's 6 teams in the high 5, but again, it's your list, you can do with it what you want, but they're all certainly worthy, and maybe that list is going to get whittled down through the regional round. Obviously it will have to at some point, because it does look like North Crawford and Ithaca would have to play each other, so we would see that happen in the regional round. But any comments on your high five that you cobbled together?
It's basically Mineral Point and Darlington are like 1A, 1B because they are. If you had done the seeding this week instead of last week for the postseason, I don't know how you would distinguish between the two of them.
Right.
They're that good. Each team beat the other, and each team had an additional non-conference loss. So how do you decide, between whether Mineral Point? You're going to have to come up with some sort of very arcane measurement, I think, to be able to discern the difference between the two of them. And one way or another, one very good team from the SWAL is not going to get past the sectional semifinal round. With North Crawford and Ithaca, similar situation, because again, 2 conference losses, I believe it was, and then 4 overall losses. That's about as even as it gets also.
Yep, and again, we anticipate those two seeing each other in the sectional semifinal in Lancaster, which is going to be one of the most must-see basketball games, not just in our area, but in the entire state. Could be considered the de facto state championship, just given how those two have played and how closely they've been ranked all season long. They've been, 1, 2, or 3, depending on, which poll you look at. So they've been at the top. They've shown why they're at the top. throughout the season, and they're on a collision course to see each other, just given the way that half sectional has played out. So again, a ton of coverage coming up this week on the boys basketball side. Again, tipping off on Tuesday nights for boys hoops. On the Wisconsin side, regional quarterfinal action again, Fennimore at Lancaster on Extreme 107.1 and the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Also in Division 4, Parkview at Cuba City on Super Hits 106 on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. And Division 5 quarterfinal action, Wauzeka-Steuben at Highland. And the postseason is on from there. Make sure you check out our Queen Bee Radio Sports schedule at am1590wpvl.com for all of the schedule changes as matchups and times change, just given where we're at in the postseason with these neutral site games that we have coming up down the line. Thanks, Steve, for joining me for the boys basketball coverage as well. Also, thanks to Scott Tolsman and Chuck Rasmussen for the recap of the state tournament from this past weekend. And thanks for watching this week's edition of the Queen Bee Radio High School Sports Roundup. And we'll see you for a brand new episode with all of the postseason coverage from boys and girls basketball. We'll recap it again next week.